pulls you in and doesn't let go.
Okay, hello. Welcome to the carousel. It's been a week or so because I was traveling, endlessly traveling, hopefully never traveling again. John Goldman, welcome to the carousel.
Thanks for having me, Isaac. Where were you traveling to?
All around. I was in Michigan. I've been in Austin. I've been in Detroit. All kinds of different places. And traveling absolutely sucks. Flying on planes is like the worst experience in the entire world. Have you noticed that at all?
I have noticed that even with TSA pre-check and a little bit of status and early boarding and whatever, it's all just the pits anyway, man. I try to avoid as much as I possibly can.
Totally. I have pre-check and stuff too. I do all that stuff, and I've even flown like first class a few times. I did JSX, and it all sucks. It all endlessly sucks. Yeah. So once again, something changed on Restream. So we're actually not seeing the Twitter viewership numbers, which is where most people watch it. So it's going to look like I don't know why this is happening recently, but people will probably start messaging on Twitter maybe and. I don't know if we'll be able to see it, but whatever. Okay, so health. We're here to talk about health. You are the founder of a very exciting, actually, company in the healthcare space, which I'm very into. And I'm mostly into it because, like travel, healthcare is just completely destroyed in every way. And it's long past time that some people come around and start doing something about it, which you are doing. So, maybe let's start with what's wrong with the healthcare industry. Why is it so terrible? Why, when I pick up the phone and I try to call to any specialist of any kind, I just had all this foot problem still going on. A podiatrist, it's, oh yeah, he'll see you in 4 months. And then I get there and it's an $150 copay. I'm basically paying for the healthcare retail price, and I pay $800 a month in insurance. It's completely destroyed. So how did we get here?
How did we get here? I mean, there's so many problems and so many issues and such history to it. I mean, the primary genesis of the fact that the healthcare system treats us more like a sick care system goes all the way back to this thing called the Fleckner Report, which was a report that was done back in the 30s. That the net result of it basically separated out the part of making you healthy and the part of repairing you when you are sick into two separate things. And the part about making you healthy got routed to public health. So if you
Mm,
ever heard somebody say they've got a master's in public health,
I
these are
have.
the people who are trying to like engineer like population level good
Yeah.
health in America. And
Totally.
we've seen how that hasn't worked out. And so then
Right.
the healthcare system itself with the doctors and whatever else, they're the ones that are just the allopathic, treat you when you're sick, fix your broken bone, come to them with a problem, and you solve the problem. And in doing that, we've lost track of that ability to connect with people in a manner that's going to generate health in them rather than just simply be there when you're coming to them already with type 2 diabetes, already with heart issues, and you had a stroke and now you're at the doctor's office getting told about how you should eat and how you should exercise. Now, there's a million other reasons that there's problems with healthcare. You can point to the ACA, Obamacare. You can point to just for-profit industry, large corporations, the pharmacy benefit managers that are in the middle that are scraping these huge percentages off of the drugs and the other treatments and stuff. But so much of it really just comes down to what is the focus of the system. And the focus of the system is to make profits, treat you when you're sick. When you come into the office, if they cure you and you don't come back, they don't make any more money off of you. So they want you to come back and keep coming back. And so much of this just also is just like you're going to a doctor that might as well be Comcast, like calling Comcast customer service. That's how much they care about you, which is to say absolutely nothing. So, I mean, there's a million avenues we could go down here, but the general gist of it all is that the whole system is completely trashed and broken. There's billions and billions upon billions of dollars of special interest money and and lobbying and regulatory control of all of the whole process that are going to keep the system the way it is, absent some cataclysmic change to the whole thing, which probably won't even happen with a guy like RFK, leading up the, in his cabinet position, because it's just too big. And so what we've done, the Rebel, is just decide we're going to build something completely separate, totally outside of the system, because we don't even want you to have to navigate the system at all.
Right. Well, it's very interesting. You started by saying something really interesting about the Fleckner report, which is this kind of point, if I'm hearing you correctly, that a doctor used to be, or the doctor system used to be responsible both for treating illness and also promoting health.
Right.
But then somewhere along the way, that got kind of divided in two, and doctors became just for treating problems. And then the public health system, which is like cattle medicine, that's all designed to treat people like this giant group of just like interchangeable cogs, basically became in control of sort of baseline health. That's very interesting. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it relegated it to policy positions and population health perspectives, meaning looking at the country as a whole and what can we do to, set guidance and policies so that the population itself, you can affect change across the population rather than on an individual basis.
Right.
And so, remnants of that would be things like the food pyramid and the recommended daily allowances for calories and whatnot. And look, to be fair about the food pyramid, like if everybody actually followed the food pyramid and the recommended daily allowances of calories, there wouldn't really be an obesity crisis in America, right? So it's easy to point your finger at the food pyramid, especially like the anti-carb people out there will certainly say, look, you don't need 6 to 10 servings of carbs every day. Some people do, and it also depends on what kind of carbs that you're eating, right? And so, yeah, it's all just policy level. You're not going to your doctor when you're healthy and saying, doc, like, I want to get stronger. Doc, I want to get faster. Doc, like, help me live a longer, healthier life. Now, I used to like really get on a soapbox about criticizing doctors for not wanting to do that kind of work. But I do really have come to more moderated position on this, and that the doctors, if they had the time, and if they had people who would listen to them, they would be happy to sit there and talk to you all day about how you can be healthier. Most doctors. I mean, you go see a doctor who's already overweight or obese and obviously sick in himself. You're not going to take that guy's advice from him. But the problem is it's a 7-minute meeting. You go in there, they're on hyperdrive. They've got 10 people waiting in the office, and they just don't have the time. And then they're also so frustrated because think about the general masses in America, like they obviously don't have much interest in being healthy. And I think that
they just want quick fix.
Right.
My blank hurts. Let me just, fix the blank and let me get out of here. Yeah.
But I think it speaks to like a deeper spiritual problem in America at large, and frankly, in the world. I mean, it's not like America is the only place with obesity crisis, right? There's just a lack of desire. Because you can solve obesity. Like you can, there are treatments, there are diets, there's exercise, there's amazing pharmaceutical opportunities out there. And I'm a fan of using GLP-1s like semaglutide or retatrutide to assist in your weight loss process. So if somebody
that's Ozempic,
Ozempic, sure. And if somebody like is exhibiting the desire and the interest and like has like that intrinsic motivation to want to be healthier, these tools are amazing. But there's stories of people like eating through their Ozempic, right? Like I'm on Ozempic and I'm just eating anyway. I fought through the appetite suppression and I'm still able to eat enough calories that are keeping me in a surplus and making me obese. And so it comes down to, and I think we can apply this conversation across art and politics and a whole number of other areas, which is, why do we as Americans not have like a sense of an ideal that we're all striving to achieve, whether it's like beauty or order or physical order or health or like demonstration of health and fitness through just the way you look and move in the world? Like where did that go?
Well,
And
isn't that kind of, aren't the people to blame for that though? Like the cattle medicine public health people? Because here's what I don't understand. It's like, yeah, it's doing this cattle medicine, public health, statistic based food pyramid type of thing. It's gross and it's weird, but why does that system today always err on the side of not shaming people who are fat? Like, why doesn't that, if that system was like Sparta, right? If that system was like super based, there would be, instead of like pictures of, corporate Memphis fat people with no legs and being like, get your, all bodies are welcome here. It would say, there'd be like a super ripped guy and it would say, no medicine for you, fatty. Like why did that system get so cucked?
well, I think that there is a relationship there, with our politics and with our art and with our standards for self, and the inclusion element of the DEI extends beyond racial inclusion and sexual orientation and whatever inclusion, and into you know that whole campaign, which thankfully has seemingly died off, right? The
Yeah.
all bodies welcome, the bigot, healthy at any size, that all that stuff crescendoed and peaked. It really does feel like it peaked, right? And like the Sydney Sweeney phenomenon, with American Eagle, I think is a testament to the ad people, who I think follow more than set the trends. They're like, look, this trend is coming back. Like the fitness trend and beauty trend is coming back, and so they jumped on it. And look at the resonance that they had. And it was funny to see there were a bunch of follow-on campaigns that even I can't remember who it was, but they put up like 20 models, wearing their jeans or whatever, and it was meant to be like diverse. And sure, there were definitely women of all colors and shades, but they were all fit. So
Yeah,
like
it's
there
like, okay, yeah, it's a recognition.
it's a recognition. And so I think it goes hand in hand. And then, but there's so many other reasons too. I mean, look, there are studies that show that even wild animals and livestock are growing in their size as well. There's arguments that there's something in the water or in the air or in the fabrics that we surround ourselves with. There's something in the food, perhaps. There are so many factors that are contributing to the obesity crisis, and there's still not even 100% consensus on like what leads to obesity, whether it's hormonal disruption or simply calories in and calories out, or a few other models. And I've done some work on this at my podcast at Rebel Health. But at root of it is a lack of desire on each individual person's behalf, of like deciding that I'm going to like adhere to a principle, adhere to a standard. And if I deviate from that standard, like I'm somehow off course and I need to be rerouted and redirected. And so when they go looking to be redirected, that's when they go to the doctor's office, and the doctor's only got 5 minutes, and doc's like, all right, well, you've got hypertension, so here's a pill for that, because I don't have the time or the energy to really get you to make the fundamental changes that are going to result in you being a happier, healthier person.
Yeah, I've noticed that at the doctor. This year, I've had a bunch of like weird, annoying, getting older things. And it's like, yeah, you go there and it's like, it's not even the doctor's fault, really. Like, you can tell that they have in their head this criticism that we're making now, that we're being treated like cattle. We're in and out. They have 7 minutes, exactly as you're saying. You can tell they know that. And you can tell they're like trying to not be like that. Like they're trying to kind of think about you more carefully. But in reality, what do they always do? It's chat GPT medicine. Every time I go to the doctor, but I before I leave, I already know what they're going to give me. And always give me, it's like I chat GPT it right before, and I'm like, here's the symptoms. And it's exactly always I could have just done it myself. If I could write prescriptions, I could have easily done this myself. And that's just how that's their bias. It's similar to masks. It's similar to like Fauci knew masks didn't work. He knew that. And he said it. But then someone came to him and they were like, you got to give people something. You got to give them something to make them feel like they're doing something. And he was like, oh, okay, do masks. That's how it is when you go to these doctors. They kind of like, they're like, oh, yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. Okay, I'm going to give you these two things so that you don't give me shit for not treating you. And yeah, you're out of there in 7 minutes and you're on some drug. Nobody's keeping track. You could be on 7 of these drugs at once. No one cares. Nobody's tracking you. And yeah, it's a total disaster.
It's a scale issue in this element, because your pharmacist is meant to be the one who is keeping track of all the prescriptions
Yeah,
that you're
and
being
like,
issued, and they go to medical school, right? Like they know the science. They're not just people that can count pills, right? They're so underutilized in our system because you can get your prescription from 50 million different places. And there's definitely arguments around whether or not there should be like a centralized prescription database. And then you've got all kinds of like privacy issues and control issues. And, but that is a valuable tool that is missing. They're supposed to be like, oh, well, this is going to counteract with this and you shouldn't be taking this, but that doesn't happen, of course. And the pill, I mean, look, it's easy to rail on big pharma, but like they've developed drugs that like cure cancer and like treat other amazing diseases and have done incredible things. They developed semaglutide and retatrutide, which I think are going to go down as some of the most powerful. Somebody's going to win a Nobel Prize for it. I mean, it's going to be just a historic pharmaceutical development. But the way in which they're relied upon to just mask over issues rather than solving issues, especially when it comes to things like high blood pressure. Like you can absolutely lower your blood pressure through rigorous exercise, proper diet, and sleep, and all kinds of stuff. I mean, I've personally done it myself. I used to have high blood pressure. I used to have a high resting heart rate. And today my resting heart rate is like in the 40s, even the low 40s. It's like 43 it was last night. And I used to be on hypertension medicine because my blood pressure would gotten up to like 150. And now it's down to 115 and I'm off all the medications because I put in the effort and the work to get there. And there's also just some element too of like, look, it is a licensed profession. So it's gate kept, and like the access to the drugs through the prescription program, and it turns them into drug dealers, basically. And then of course there's so much money behind pushing those drugs out to the population. Doctors in big HMOs, they get rewards for how many people take vaccines and how many people are on statins and how many people, some of it is good though. They get rewards for like how many people get colonoscopies when they turn 40 or 50. Like that's not a bad thing. Like preventative screening for cancer is a good thing. But like just throwing people on statins is definitely not a good thing. And these are some of the problems that we're trying to solve at like a smaller scale with our practice, where we know what medications you're on and we're trying to solve root cause problems here rather than paper things over. So how we get the whole system focused on solving root cause issues that have an element of personal responsibility to them is extremely difficult. Like it's a political issue that has no side, right? Because both sides, obviously with the 50% or more people in America that are overweight and obese, they're on both sides of the aisle, and you need those people to vote for you. So you can't go out campaigning and be like, you know what, fat people are bad people and bad people need to be remedied and we need to fix them and solve this problem. You're not gonna win on that kind of platform. So it has to also be danced around, and it has to not be addressed like directly. It's one thing I do like about RFK is that at least he's speaking plainly, even if he's like crazy in some instances. There's just an absence of straight talk, and I think that that's another part of the like cultural thing that we were talking about.
Yeah. So semaglutide, you're saying is going to win a new Nobel Prize. So why? How does it work? It's kind of freaks me out. It's like I don't. I'm very freaked out, and it's weird. So many people are on it. You see so many people just in a year. They look so different, and it just an appetite suppressor? Is it as simple as that? Like what is it?
Yeah, I mean, basically, you got semaglutide, which is a single action, and then you've got tirzepatide, which is dual action, and then you've got retatrutide, which is a triple action. And like the technologies have really improved. So the triple action, definitely inhibits your appetite. It also regulates your glucose levels, and it also can speed up your metabolism. So at once, limits the amount you're taking in and increases the amount that you're burning, and because it regulates your insulin and glucose, it makes the food that you eat go to the right places. And so it's really incredibly powerful drug, and it's going to make semaglutide look like the Stone Age is eventually when it gets released. It's still in like phase 2 trials, but people have access to like black market Chinese versions of it, and they're using it all over the country, or at least it seems that way through my sphere on Twitter, right? It's all anybody's talking about. But the semaglutide one, I mean, it's a blunt force object, and it really like it just blunts your appetite. You like I have tested semaglutide myself personally, and like food will just taste like rocks in your mouth. And the concept of eating just is like, oh, that sounds terrible. And it blunts the appetite, and it slows your gastric emptying so that your stomach feels a little bit fuller longer. And it really is just an injectable way to make you eat less. And now eating less leads to all kinds of benefits down the road, right? You lose weight, and your blood pressure goes down, and your visceral fat content goes down, and your inflammation goes down, and your likelihood for cardiovascular disease goes down, and all kinds of things improve as you return to a normal weight and a normal level of the technical term is adiposity. I'm not a doctor, so I don't talk like that. Your normal level of fatness, and you get you down skinnier, and so many things downstream improve. The retatrutide one, though, that's the one that's going to be the absolute complete game changer, because the side effects are much less. It's much more powerful. It's much more effective. And people are using it. Even bodybuilders are using it now when they're gaining weight, because of the nutrient partitioning and the way that it makes the food go to the right places as you're even in a caloric surplus. And I think the technology, how does it do that?
Yeah, I mean, that's putting you on the spot, I realize. But
No,
I'm just wondering,
yeah. So, I only have a master's in bro science, not a PhD in bro science. So, the way I understand it is that when you want to be what's called insulin sensitive. And that means that when you eat foods and your body triggers its insulin response, that then you're shuttling foods to the right places, right? So you're shuttling sugars that you eat into your muscles and refilling your glycogen deposits in your muscles. When you are insulin resistant, your body is less capable of doing that. And so the excess calories and sugars in particular just go to fat. Okay. And so when you are able to regulate that with a drug like retatrutide, you can eat even more than you were eating before, and the nutrient partitioning and your insulin sensitivity remains. Insulin resistance is pretty much like one of the core things that we look at to see, what your metabolic health looks like. And like the entire country is insulin resistant. Like everybody's hormonal balance is completely effed up. And so restoring.
Why is that? Why is everybody's insulin?
Well, these are when you get back to, the various arguments as to why the obesity crisis is a thing. Is it simply because you've eaten too much food? Is there something in the air? But at the end of the day, like your body is just not processing the intake of the food in the way that's most optimal for your body, and retatrutide restores that for you. So what we're going to see, and you can restore that on your own through high intensity interval training and proper diet and caloric deficit and resistance training, etc. But what we'll see, I think, is that retatrutide, once it's finally approved, is going to be everywhere. Literally anyone with to get their hands on it is going to be on it. We're already seeing, like semaglutide being approved by insurance companies and like getting broader and broader acceptance, and the cost of it coming down and further and further. And so, for the people that have like done it the right way, I think there's a sense of resentment out there as well too, because being thin won't be something you have to earn anymore, which is ironic because everybody was thin before and nobody gave a shit about it. if you look at like images of like the world's fattest man or whatever, like circuses from like the 1800s, it's like that's just like a normal dude now,
Yeah.
right? It's crazy how much things have shifted. But like this crisis that we're in, though, it requires all tools available. I understand why people have a resistance to the drugs. They think there's no free lunch, or they think that it's cheating, or whatever it is. But when 60 and 70% of your population is obese and overweight, and there's 100 million pre-diabetic people in America, and most of them don't even know it, and they're on their way to diabetes costs us billions and billions and billions of dollars. I think it's something like $3 or $4 billion like a day, or some crazy number. Don't quote me on that, but it's like in that ballpark. This is a national crisis. This is a national security crisis. Like, it's going to eat up bigger and bigger portions of GDP. It's already made it so that there's difficulties in recruiting people for military. You look at our cops; a lot of them are overweight and obese and not making what you would think would be typical physical standards. And so it's gonna just eat up the country. So we have to do absolutely everything that we can do. I used to joke, the old economics model was like you choose between guns and butter, and like goods for people to consume, and defense goods. And we're going to have to be choosing in the future between like education, defense, and like really good things for America, and like treating and solving obesity in America. And I'm not sure that we all understand the severity of the crisis just yet.
Yeah, it sure will be funny though to see what's going to happen I feel like this is already happening with people like Ozempic face. Like, yes, even before Ozempic, this kind of happened in Hollywood. Like, clearly, maybe they had some trick, or it's these stomach surgeries. But like a bunch of like John Goodman, our beloved fat actor, got skinny, and it just wasn't good. He didn't look good. It was just kind of like, go back to being fat. It's gonna be funny if that happens. Like if like everybody's suddenly really skinny, but it's zero sum, right? Like beauty is zero sum, don't you think? It's like everybody can't be beautiful. It changes based on like scarcity, kind of.
Yeah, I can see that, but there's also like an absolute ideal, right? Like, I think science has shown us over time that there's specific female proportions that men are most attracted to, and symmetry in the face, and certain characteristics that the closer you can get to that, you will be perceived as attractive. And certainly, like, obesity is not anything that signals fitness or reproductive capabilities, or like, boy, I want my children to look like that. But I hear you what you're saying. Like, it's easier, to be a big fish in a small pond, rather than the other way around, right?
Right. Okay, so we have this system that is, a sick system, as we say. So what is Rebel Health doing? How does it actually work, and like, what does it actually do differently? Because you're seeing a bunch of these sort of solutions pop up, and this is the beauty of America, is that people actually try to solve things. But what are the solutions?
Yeah. So for years on Twitter, I used to rail about the obesity crisis. Somebody should do something about that. God, we're headed for a disaster. And finally, one day, I was like, I guess I'm old enough and have enough experience in life that I should just take a crack at it myself. So that was the genesis of it, right? What we do differently is that we're focused first and foremost on preventing chronic disease. We want to make sure that you never get obese. We want to make sure that you never get diabetes. We want to make sure that you never have cardiovascular disease, or heart disease, or strokes, or Alzheimer's, or dementia. These are things that are preventable, and that's the first thing that we're focused on, is eliminating that. Then we take the make you healthier part and actually apply it in practice. So we call that salutogenesis. It's a Latin word. It means to generate health. And we want to generate health in you. And the best ways to do that are through strength training, resistance training, cardiovascular conditioning, proper diet, proper supplementation, and epigenetic optimization. And so everyone that comes to us, different than when you go to your primary care doctor, you get a strength coach, a dietitian, a genetic counselor, who all create dedicated plans for you to help you get stronger, faster, fitter, and more epigenetically optimized. You're not going to get any of that at your regular doctor's office. They don't have the time, the resources, the commitment, the desire, the knowledge, know-how, any of that stuff. And then we give you direct unlimited access. So like you can just have an ongoing conversation with your doctor instead of having to wait 4 months to go see a specialist who's going to just see you for 5 minutes and give you a pill. You can text your doctor every single day. And it's that high level of engagement and the personalization, all the diagnostic testing that we do to make sure that we're not missing anything, and then the comprehensive plan. And we've seen just incredible results for that. People are losing weight who needed to lose weight. The people who are in shape are fitter. They're achieving physical goals that they've set for themselves in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. We just had our first sponsored athlete, Ed Lattimore. He is a boxer and an author, and he's a Twitter personality as well. He's got like 200,000 followers. He was retired from boxing, came to us. We helped him get optimized, and he was feeling so good after being retired for like 3 or 4 years that he decided to make his return to pro boxing, and then he won his match by first round knockout. And so, like, we've proven that we can take a guy who's 40 years old, retired, get him back into shape, optimize his health, and put him in the ring and score a first round knockout. And now he's going to have additional fights. So we've shown through competition even that our model works. And the trick for us now is to figure out how we can scale that up.
Okay. So boxing, is that going to be like, do you think that there's going to be kind of like integrations where health providers will become like the new Nike or something? Like, do you think that that's where we're going, where it's like, the baseball star, his number one endorsement will be like his health provider? That's a funny reality to think about.
Well, that's the reality that I'm trying to make happen. I think that there's no better testament to your health and wellness and like being able to compete at the highest level, right?
True, right? It's like, hey, it's not your shoes, it's your fucking doctor. Like it's like that's very true. It's like, why? Yeah, like we live in this world where it's like Blue Cross is just this horrible. I have to call Blue Cross. Oh no, it's the worst thing in the world. But it's like, why can't there be one that like, right, is like, imagine if we lived in a world where with actual competition between businesses, how would that look?
That's part of it. But of course, it's the scale issue. There is one thing that's like keeping it from being really good. Like, you're not going to get the customer service from Comcast or from Hulu or Amazon or whatever that you really deserve. So one thing that we're trying to bring along here as well is just like high level luxury customer service. And I think that what we've seen in the marketplace and other consumer goods is that that's what people want. They want service. They want it to be cool. They want it to be aesthetic. They want it to be an experience, and they want it to improve their lives. And it's certainly niche still, that element, but there's a growing group of people that crosses political divides that are interested in having these experiences, and they want their brands to reflect that. They want to be able to look at the brands that they buy and see a life that they want to live. Yeah. And I don't know why that hasn't been applied to healthcare yet, but that's what we're trying to do. And they should be inspirational. And it's all tied together with like trying to give people extra energy to be motivated to make these changes. Like, oh, instead of your healthcare ad looking like a bunch of sickly people or old people or lamos or whatever that are totally uninspiring, why not make your healthcare company look like, that's cool, I want to be like that, I want to do that, how do I do that? I'll call them, and hopefully I can live the life that they're portraying.
It's amazing. It's like it's such a better solution. What you're saying is such a better solution than like whining about it, right? It's like, how many books do we need whining about this problem? Or, phony solutions like Obamacare, which was just made everything 7 million times worse. And it's like, oh, what if we just make it cool? What if we make it really cool to like have a great health provider, which it should be, especially in today's awful world. Who's kind of doing that? Like you, but you do see it's kind of happening. What are your thoughts on Brian? Whatever,
Mr. Blueprint guy?
Yes. What are your thoughts on Blueprint Brian?
Okay, so
Live forever, just so people know when they listen to this. He's the live forever. No, don't
no,
die guy.
don't die guy. Yeah.
Yeah, don't die guy.
So there's a couple of ways of looking at it. One, like dude made his stack of cash and has dedicated the rest of his life to doing something that he thinks is going to have positive effects on the rest of America. So from that perspective, I think you got to give the guy kudos, right? Like that's a cool mission. But on the other hand, he's turned his life into something like looks miserable, right? Like he's like, I spend 4 hours a day in the lab getting tested, and I measure my erections at night with some device wrapped around my wiener, and I wake up in the morning and I tell everybody about it, and then I get my son's 18-year-old blood injected into me, and I only eat 1,400 calories a day, and I'm in bed by 7:30 p.m. and I never drink because drinking is terrible and horrible for you and ruin your life, and it's poison.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to live like that. Nobody wants to live like that. But if through his efforts he discovers something that is going to help everybody else, fine. But also what we're seeing is that it's all just content marketing for the businesses that he's building, right? Like he's hiring doctors now, and he's got his supplement line, and he's been selling all kinds of products, and like it's hard. And this is what actually makes it great art in the way, is that it's like it's really hard to tell what his motivation is here. Is it really just all content marketing for this business he's been trying to build? Maybe. And if so, pretty good, dude. Is it a genuine like mission from God, which is an ironic word to use in this case, because I think he's trying to defeat God, to like escape God. Yeah. And like his message of like, he keeps saying things like, we're the first people to want to try to escape death. I'm like,
it's like,
dude, what are you talking about? I think it's literally goes like the oldest story.
That is like maybe the oldest. Like, is there an older like fantasy than
no? There really isn't. So it's all like performance art / business / content development / also maybe he's stumbling on a few things, but he's turned himself into a human test lab. It's all N of 1, which means it's not super applicable across like wide populations and whatnot. But he's got us talking about him, and now somebody watching this is going to type in blueprint, and maybe they'll buy some supplements. And so who's winning and who's laughing? I guess maybe it's him.
Well, it's so before him, there was David Asprey who was doing the same thing. He was also live forever. I mean, look, there's always going to be money in the live forever racket. Probably more so now than ever, because we're in this sort of like endless childhood thing. Although that seems to be changing a little bit. Like I feel like that's, Madonna was like still posting thirst traps at 75, and it's like, there's something really gross about that, right?
Yeah.
There's something that's sort of inherently just your everyday human looks at that and they're just like, just accept it, like at a certain point, just to accept old age, like being a wise old person. Whereas now we really live in this world where people are like, no, I am not going to be old. Screw that.
There's a way I think to approach this that's actually healthy and not cringy. So the way I contrast what I'm trying to do versus what Brian Johnson is trying to do, he's trying to live forever, trying to defeat death, trying to play God. He's also, I think, an atheist and doesn't believe in that. Like he's got his whole shtick.
Yeah.
Our goal isn't to live forever. My goal is not to live forever. My goal is to be 75 and badass. That's my goal. I want to be the grandfather that leads his family on badass adventure vacations where we're going hiking and swimming and surfing and traveling the world and doing whatever, and just being a vibrant person with as much capability for as long as I possibly can. And the first way to do that is to not get a disease that's going to lead to a really gross and disgusting and painful death. Like dying from diabetes and obesity and all that, that's awful. I took my wife to go to the doctor at Kaiser years ago, and it happened to be the doctor she was seeing happened to be on the same floor as the endocrinology clinic, which just meant the diabetes like treatment center. And there was like 25 people in there in wheelchairs with their foot cut off.
Yeah.
Okay. Like with their limbs, like actually dying as they're attached to their body. Yeah. And like, that's a horrible way to die. Or like, my algorithm is half filled with like obesity fails because I'm a sick and terrible person, and I see all these pictures of people like falling down and like breaking shit and just falling over and what I can't get up and stuff. And it's like you're laughing and you haven't even seen it.
Your Instagram, your Instagram like search page is just fat people like falling.
Dude, every other reel right now is just like fat people falling down and getting stuck. And
Instagram's like, man, this guy loves fat people falling
it's
down.
terrible. And you should see what the other half of the Instagram reels are. We couldn't even talk about them on here. And so it's like you just don't want to live like that, man. Like I want to be 75 and surfing and have my kids and grandkids there. And so for me, it's about, and Peter Attia is the one that really introduced this concept into the public discourse, is that it's really not about extending your lifespan as far as we can. It's really about extending the health span, which is the number of the years of your life that you are going to live an active and fruitful and energetic and vigorous, virile, and potent, as G. Gordon Liddy used to say, a vigorous, virile, and potent life for as long as you can. And that's my goal, contra what Brian Johnson is doing, for sure. And I think you can do that in a non-cringe way, especially if you don't like get the buccal fat like surgery and get your lips all pumped up and like try to act like you're 25 and sexy still. No, I'm gonna be 75 and badass and like fine with how age is like dealing with the rest of my body, but I want the energy to be doing fun stuff.
Yeah, which totally makes sense as good. And hey, I think anybody who is aging wants that, right? You don't want to be. It really sucks to be like. People don't. I think this is something young people just never get until they really hit an age. It's like it really sucks to have these conditions, these like chronic conditions, and everybody has them. Like everybody gets to this age where suddenly you have chronic conditions, and it really sucks. And yeah, we all have that doctor's appointment where the doctor says, you say, hey, what's the cure? What's the solution? How long am I going to have this? And the doctor goes, oh, forever. You're never going to not have it. And you're like, oh, shit.
You're cooked.
I've definitely reached the middle of this thing, where they're not even trying to fix it anymore. And your body really does start to kind of like give out in certain ways. It also gets better in certain ways, though. It's like, I feel like in some ways, you don't need as much sleep, that's for sure, as you get older, right? You can kind of live with very little sleep, which is good. I don't know if that's true of you, but
I try to get my like 6.5 to 7.5 hours every single night if I possibly can. And I was just thinking about what you said about just like everybody one day like has this thing that they can't get rid of. I think that's something that we can maybe true now, given like all the circumstances that we've been describing earlier with the healthcare system and whatever's happening in the environment and whatnot. But I think that with a focus on prevention earlier on in life, that we can actually avoid those circumstances. And really, there are just some basics that we have stopped doing as a culture. And I think a lot of it has to do with the type of work that people have been doing. And, you're in an office all day and you're sitting in a chair all day and we're not outside. Like you need to go outside. I mean, these things are so basic, right? Like here's the key to longevity, and you don't have to pay us for it, right? It's move a lot. And I'm talking like 8 to 10 to 12, 13, 14,000 steps a day. Eat all the right foods in the right amount. Be lean. Like you got to be lean. Sleep a lot. Like have community. Find meaning in your life. And really, if you do all those things together and you do stuff outside, like you're going to be so far ahead of everyone else, because think about most people's lives involve getting up, doing a little thing, going to work, sitting at work, coming home, doing a little thing, eating a bunch of shitty food, and just going to sleep on screens, watching screens, thinking about what they're going to look at the screens next. And like, that is not a recipe for health. So what I tell my kids about like what kind of job they should have in the future, I got 2 kids in college now. I tell them, look, the first thing you need to do is like decide what kind of lifestyle that you want to have. And then from there, find the job that's going to be that lifestyle, rather than like, oh, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a physical therapist, or I want to be a coder. okay, well, if you want to be a coder, like you're going to have to design a lifestyle that's just not you sitting in your gaming chair with like
Hmm.
piles of Red Bulls around you, locked in on your computer for 14 hours a day. Like lifestyle design is a thing now because our modern lifestyles are inherently unhealthy. And so we should be teaching people lifestyle design, and it should be the primary goal. And it sounds like a, rich person problem or whatever, white people problems. Like, did you design your optimal lifestyle before you entered into the workforce? But I think everybody can do it if you just like put some thought into it and like build your system and build yourself into a person that has the lifestyle that's going to afford you the healthy lifestyle that you need in order to have a long and healthy life. That's all. That's what I'm trying to teach my kids today, right?
Yeah, so I really do think it is like sedentariness, probably more than anything, that causes this.
Sedentarianism. Yep.
Sedentarianism is really what like causes. So, did you hear recently that Putin and what's his name were having this talk, and Putin was like, or Z from China, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we can live to 150 now." And so that was kind of one of these lifelong things, but we haven't seen that yet. So what actually is it? Why, with all the technology we have already, why aren't people living to 150?
Well, I think one, is that technology really real is one thing, but two, even let's say it's been developed in the last 15 years. Okay. So now there are people within the last 10 or 15 years that have been utilizing this technology. Did they engage with this technology at a point in which their biology is even sustainable with that technology? Right. So like maybe they've already gone over the threshold into, into, entropy and just sort of death. I think if you're gonna see if there is truly technology today that's gonna make people live to 150, it's gonna be people who are currently today 30s, right? So like we probably won't see that effect, on a wide level and for many years. Like from someone who's like 30 or 40 now, for them to live to 150, we have to wait a whole century to see if that's actually the case. Because I imagine there's some point at which your body is just gotten so old that whatever the technology they're talking about just isn't even capable of solving that problem. But if anybody's got access to the latest and greatest and drugs without concern for other side effects and whatever else, like probably Putin has it. But that guy
Yeah.
looks like he's in great shape, and it looks like he's trucking on. So look to see 15, 20 years from now, guys who were 50 now, who look 50 then, at that point in time. And who knows, I'm not privy to that kind of stuff, and we're not even at Rebel, we're not even chasing that kind of stuff. Like we're chasing fundamentals, which is boring, right? It's like meat and potatoes. And that's why it doesn't appeal to everybody. People come to us and sometimes they think that they're going to get a special drug like this. Give me the Putin drug. And we don't have it. And I don't know that it even really exists, but there's billions of dollars trying to figure it out. And maybe that's the solution to the low fertility rate, is the fact that people over time will die later and later in life. And it won't matter that we're having fewer kids because there'll be greater population anyway, because people are living for a long time. Who knows?
I wonder how long you could keep somebody alive, like on a machine. Like, could you just keep someone, like, could somebody just volunteer and be like, okay, I'm going to just like go into a coma at age 80 and just hook me up and just keep me going, even if I'm a total vegetable. Let's just like break the record. Let's just like break the oldest record. Like just keep me technically alive for another
Well,
70 years. Is that possible?
that's also above my pay grade, but I will point historically to the fact that there are people currently in deep freeze
Right.
where like they
Yeah.
died and they were frozen with
Right.
the idea that in 100 years or whatever, they can thaw them out and solve whatever problem that they had and bring these zombies back from the dead. Like the white, like was it the Dark Knight, the White Knight, Snow Knight, Snow King, Game of Thrones?
Yes.
The guy
Yes.
raises the people from the dead. Yes, we're going to
Yes.
raise these
Night King.
zombies from the
Night King.
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Night
Yeah.
King. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. No, right. No, I think there's a lot of people that are
Yeah.
in cryo, and then then like an earthquake happens, and they all like unfreeze, and they're like, "Whoops, gotta
But
get back in there."
the other approach people are taking is this idea that you're going to be able to upload your consciousness
Right.
to technology,
And
right?
that to me, that's never gonna happen. I don't think that that makes any sense at all. You know? Do you think?
I
You
mean,
think that
again,
that's
not an AI expert, not a technology expert, but people are working on this all the time. And then it really comes down to the really deep spiritual questions that we brought up earlier, which is like, what is life? What is living? What is beauty? What is order? What are the God-given ideals that we're striving for? Should we strive for them? Is there an afterlife? Is it the devil's work to try to live forever? I mean, we're on the edge where maybe these questions are going to be something worth discussing, and like philosophically will need to be attacked. And I'm sure somebody out there has written about this, but the idea of uploading yourself to some computer doesn't seem like life to me, but people seem to attach some value to that as like, oh, I'm still alive. If you can take like every word I've ever said on podcasts, which is like thousands of hours, and every word I've ever written, which is like millions of words, and every text message I've ever sent, and every conversation that Alexa and Google have listened to in my house and my phone and everything, and put it all into an LLM like chat, you could probably get a reasonable representation of me and what I would say. And like you could engage with me in a way that seems real. But is that really life? Probably not.
no, but they wouldn't be you. It would just. It's not like you would be in there, right? It's not like you would suddenly jump to the computer.
Right.
Like, yeah, other people could have a simulation of you, but it wouldn't be you, right? I
Well,
mean, it's
and
just.
now we're all the way deep into what is you? What
But
is you? What
you,
is your soul?
but you are not a other people's. For other people, it would be you, right? Fine, but for you, it wouldn't be you because you
Right.
wouldn't be there, right? You're not there.
You're not there, but
Yeah.
do we exist in independence, or do we exist in relationship to other objects? Again, deep philosophical questions. I think that like we're going to be talking a lot more about what is your soul, and what does it mean, and is the body something that is separate from your soul? And if you can extend your life and extend the life existence of your physical being, does that mean that you've extended your life as a soul, as a person? Do souls have a finite energy? Are we really as a soul supposed to live 180 years or 200 years? Are we one and the same as our physical body? I mean, these questions will come up as the technology gets more and more sophisticated. But I mean, I really think a lot of this stuff is way off. Like I still have to like keep my eyes on the road when I'm driving my Tesla around on on
Yeah.
on on full service full service driving. So we're not quite there yet, but like eventually, that may be the case.
What's so funny to me is that we have this like trope in movies where there's the AI, and the AI can do anything. It can like you'd say, "Hey, Hal, clean the dishes and get my car in the garage, and get everything, do maintenance on floor 6." But and Hal can do anything, except he talks like a robot, so he cannot talk like a human. But he talks like the one thing he can't do is talk like a human being.
Right.
Yet he can do anything else.
Right.
In reality, it's totally reversed. Like AI can talk like a person. It actually sounds like a person, but it can't do any of the other shit.
No.
It can't actually like get anything done at
I
all.
had a
Like,
funny experience today with my daughter in the car on the way to school. We had a question come up in our conversation. So I hit Grok right there on the little screen in the Tesla. We started talking to Grok. And at one point I said, "Thank you." And Grok goes, "No probe." And I was like, what the F is no probe?
No,
And
bro.
then my daughter at age 12 is like, oh, she doesn't really know what the word is. So like the LLM has read no prob a
No prob.
million
Yeah.
billion times and knew that it was the right time to say it, but had never heard a human say it And so they set it as no probe,
Yeah.
no probe, John. My
No
pleasure.
probe.
And it was such a great example of how they're not actually conscious human being things. They're just regurgitating words in some order that they think makes sense to us.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a total, don't get me wrong, I'm not a total AI doomer, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, I think it's interesting conversation around people and doctors and AI. Like you said that you chat GPT your symptoms before you go into the doctor and you get the same response. So there's a lot of things that play there, right? Like the AI agents are trained on the data and existing data, and they're trained on sources that are approved sources. And so it makes sense that ChatGPT, from scouring New England Journal of Medicine, reports in the AMA and government issuance and whatever, is going to have the same response as your physician, because your physician operates within guidelines. The guidelines are set by the professional agencies. And so they're all actually drawing off the same information. Now, the problem is that like the future of healthcare and like the most exciting things are off-label, gray market, on the edge, without like 10 perfect studies that are proving everything, and with 25 years of history and whatever. And so you gotta, in order to get the future of medicine today, you have to talk to a human who is the one who's like interpreting the data on the fly from unapproved sources in pieces, who's then using their best judgment and knowing you personally in order to make that decision as to whether or not to do something that's a little off the script. So that's one element of it. Another element of it is, if you've got any money in the world, I think, and we're banking on this, I think that you're going to want to have a human tell you things like, fuck, you got cancer, right? Or like you're dying, or like you need something terrible is happening. Like, nobody wants to get a cancer diagnosis of 6 months to live from a robot, right? And so I think that there are a lot of companies out there that are trying to replace doctors with AI, which is fine maybe for the masses or for people that can't afford, actual personalized care, or as a double check across your current doctor. But replacing the human element, it's the empathy part of it that they're never going to be able to replace. And the thing about empathy, which is so interesting to me, is that it's not something that can be cataloged in an LLM. Remember, an LLM is just reading and observing data out there from other people, others generated sources, and then aggregating it and processing it and using its best guess as to what's appropriate. Empathy is a pre-language sense that we have as humans. Dogs have empathy. Animals have empathy without words. And so if empathy is such an important part of human communication, human connection, it's a observation tool that we have. It's a communication device that we have, and it predates language. So a language model isn't going to be able to be empathetic. And if you don't have empathy, and then maybe I'm talking out of my league here when it comes to AI, but this is my interpretation. If you don't have empathy, then you're missing a whole slice of humanity, of what it means to be a human. And you're missing a whole slice of like observational data and methods to communicate and means by which to make connection, which will enable your advice to be better received and then better put into action and whatnot. And so for those reasons, I really believe that like healthcare AI stuff is going to be more of a useful tool and an adjunct rather than like a complete replacement.
But aren't AIs really good at simulating empathy? I mean, per the conversation we were just having, isn't that, what's so funny when you're talking to Grok or whatever, you have this like instinct to be polite because they're polite back to you.
Sure.
So it's like they can simulate empathy, right? Kind of.
Well, I think what they're trying to do is speak back to you in a language that reflects what its interpretation of what you want is, right? So like I like first, like I record all my business meetings and I put them all into an LLM, and then I interrogate that LLM to try to glean more insight and remember what I have to do and whatever. But if I ask a question that has any tone to it at all, like, was I an asshole in that meeting? Which I've definitely asked Chat GPT based off of transcripts. And it'll reflect back to you what you think it thinks you the answer is that I want to hear. Like, oh no, you weren't really an asshole. But then I'm like, no, but really give me the other side of it. And then it's like, hell yeah, you were a total dick. Right. And you can apply that to any process you're going through with the AI, is that it seems like it wants to be liked. Right. And of course you got to think about the motivations of the people designing it. They want more time on app.
Yes.
They want more people engaged. So
no, they want it to be polite. Well, but that's what it's best at, in my opinion. It's best at being polite. It's better at that than doing anything else.
Yeah,
kind of, because it's like the simulation. Those things are easy to fake. You know, it's the harder stuff to fake is like, you know, the stuff that hallucinates, which is like finding some actual citation of something, you know, that takes a very long time. Is that right? Kind of.
Well, but I want my AI to be able to look into my eyes and like really see what I'm getting at. You know, like, can it really understand my body language?
No, which it never. Well,
maybe, but like, again, empathy is something that's innate and instinctive to us, that is, you can't put it into words, and there's not a manual that can be interpreted. Like we sense it, and maybe they're going to be able to program it to sense the micro changes in your pupil and the way that you breathe in a little bit deeper when you said the thing that you said, or the fact that you said something and then you, like, you know, slouched over to one side or whatever. And as I'm saying that out loud, that all sounds like something that you can program. But from my perspective, man, I don't want a machine. I don't want a text item or a robot voice or some AI avatar being like, I'm sorry, John, you have 3 months to live. If you would like to get treatment,
totally.
press 1.
Yeah, no, of course. You in that circumstance, you want even the knowledge that the thing was not human would be terrible, because it would be like, you know, just really depressing that you're going through this with a machine for some sort of, like, even if it could perfectly imitate it, it would just, the knowledge of it would be.
So think about the things in life that you want to have a human element with, and things that you don't want to have a human element with, right? Like, do you need your contract review for legal to have a human element? Not really. Do you want your spreadsheets from your bookkeeper to have a human element? Probably not really.
Yeah.
Do you want your psychotherapist to have a human element? Definitely. Healthcare, definitely.
Why is that, though? Why do people want their healthcare to be so, you know, human element full?
Fear, man. Fear and love and human connection, and knowing that you're in something together with somebody who can at least appreciate what you're going through and make you not feel alone. So as, like, more and more of our life gets dominated by AI and automation and whatnot, I think that because we are human, our human communal element of humanity, the fact that we thrive in groups and die in isolation, and that community is proven over and over again to make you happier, healthier, and wealthier. Like, we need it. We've evolved to just have a desperate urge, because when we do form communities, we have better outcomes. And so we have to have that human element in order to thrive as humans. And so there's going to be areas in which the automation and the AI gets so immense that we're losing the community elements that we found there, that we're going to have to find community elements elsewhere. And maybe that's why we see an explosion in run clubs, or see an explosion in, you know,
they're everywhere. There's so many run clubs.
But we'll never be able to extinguish the humanity from us, which means we're going to need it in the world, and we're not going to be able to satisfy every need through AI. So in fact, the more AI there is, the more we're going to have a need for human connection and the human element. And healthcare, I think, is one of them, and there will be other social areas in which we do that. But everybody knows that if you spend all day by yourself, man, like, things go bad fast.
Yeah. So do you worry about that, because Rebel Health is remote, right?
Yeah.
So is that a concern? Like, are you losing part of the human element if everything is not in person?
I mean, our entire company is distributed and virtual, and we have found that even in our employee relationships, we're able to create a culture within the company. We've found that in our engagements with our members and patients through video conferencing like this, we're able to create a connection. I mean, you and I are vibing, and you're in LA and I'm in DC, and we're talking over the microphone and whatnot. So I think that it's really possible, and not just really possible, but like evident in our care delivery, that the video interaction is terrific, and it gives you just enough of the human connection without all of the hassles of like getting in your car and driving to the doctor's office and waiting a half hour for them, and then sitting in the room with the paper on the thing and waiting for them to come in, and then like having it take up half a day. The pro and con balance of like the ease of which that this can transpire versus the all the costs involved in the other method definitely favors this. And we cater to people that are busy and executives, and they want to be able to take their doctor's calls when they're traveling, if they're in Michigan or Austin or wherever they happen to be, and so they're not tied to having to go into that one office down there on 55th Street or whatever at 3 p.m. next 6 weeks from now.
Yeah, it's like I feel like I'm one of those people that I actually prefer, I don't really care about the human touch. Like, right, all the BS of waiting for a friggin' doctor, and then you're late, and then he's distracted and not really paying attention anyway, and he's trying to be nice, but blah blah blah. Like, I I actually kind of prefer the just like chat GPT medicine, personally. Like, I don't really care about the like in-person stuff. That's why I think there actually is a big future for these types of online digital things. So, like, when you sign up for Rebel Health, this is the question everybody's going to ask. Do you need insurance still? Is it a replacement for insurance?
Yeah. So currently, we don't accept insurance. Not even that we don't accept insurance. Insurance doesn't pay for what we do, right? Like, insurance pays for when you are sick and you go to the doctor and you need a treatment for being sick. It does not pay to make you healthy. It does not pay to get you faster marathon time, or to get the six pack that you want, or to prevent things from happening bad in your life. So that's the first part, is like, they won't pay us. But our future plans do involve, like, as part of our membership, like either a crowdsource or crowd share or a health share component, where if something bad happens to you, the community takes care of your health expense. And so I predict that by this time in 2026, you can sign up for Rebel Health, get your doctor, get your strength coach, your dietitian, genetic counselor, and get a catastrophic health insurance coverage, so that you could completely disconnect from Blue Cross or United or any of the other scammers out there, and be in. And this is the best part, I think, is like, be in an insurance pool that is populated with people who care about their health. I don't know about you, but like, I get bitter thinking that my health insurance premium is paying for the guy who won't stop drinking
It's
Mountain
insane.
Dew,
And it's so messed up.
and
that
we're
we have to
paying and
pay
we're
for that.
paying for them to have their foot chopped off. I mean, like, a portion of everyone's premium goes directly to paying for people to have their foot chopped off because they would not stop drinking Kool-Aid or
Yeah.
eating bad foods or Twinkies or whatever the case may
Right.
be. And like, that bothers me, right? Like,
Well, and the problem is, it's because the reason they shovel that onto the middle class is because there's only a few things you can do with that, right? Either you reject them and just let them die, which is what we should do, in my opinion. But if you don't do that, then someone's paying for it, right? But they're never the ones that can pay for it, right? Because the same thing that makes it so that they can't drink, they drink Kool-Aid all day, is the same thing that means they never make any real money, And so it's like, it's an impossible situation, because you just have this dregs population who is astronomically responsible for all the costs. And it's basically just a battle of who's paying for that. Is the rich people paying for it, or is the middle people paying for it? And right now, the middle people pay for it.
yeah,
pretty much.
So what I want to have is a private group that, if you have a rare disease, you get hit by a truck, or an accident happens, or you're pregnant and having a baby, those are the things that get covered by insurance, our insurance. And so
Yeah.
all of your premium that you're paying is just going to pay for those types of
Yeah.
things
Catastrophic.
for other things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we prevent all the other bad stuff from happening through either a self-selected pool of people or through our amazing direct primary care, where we're going to keep you from getting sick in the first place, and so you won't need to be on these drugs forever. And my classic one is getting your foot chopped off. That one just boggles the mind. Like, what is in your brain and in your heart and in your soul where the doctor says, now you can either make this change or I have to chop off your leg.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they're like, okay, just chop off the leg. And and it always starts with like, well, it's just these 3 toes. So you just lost 3 toes.
God.
Now, if we don't do this now, and then it comes back and it's the other toes. And then we do
Yeah.
this, then it's going to be the foot, and then it's at the knee, and then it's both legs at the knee.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a I mean, it's a mental thing.
Yeah.
It's a social thing. It's a cultural thing. It's a societal thing. This is why I say it's a spiritual problem in America, and
Yeah.
it's such an endemic crisis to everything, and it impacts everything and everyone, that we all need to tackle it with all tools available. We need a whole campaign that's, it's got to be like depoliticized, right? Like there are people in this country who, if Donald Trump says, I want everyone to be lean and strong and fit, and we're going to start a new thing called like America Fit, instead of America First, America Fit, then there's a whole group of people that'll be like, oh, that's terrible. That's horrible. Nobody needs to do that. So we need like a non-political actor to somehow take up this mantle of
Well, that's
leading
yeah.
the nation in that.
That's kind of what RFK Jr. was supposed to be, right? I mean, he was kind of
being a
supposed
Democrat.
to be, yeah, right. He was supposed to be, I don't care about anything besides this, which I feel like he kind of is, right? Or is he failing, or is he not getting anything done? What's he doing?
I mean, all I know is that premiums are going up by 15% this year. It's the biggest increase I think anybody's ever seen.
Wow.
I know life expectancies have actually started to go up again after like 4 or 5 years of them going down, but I don't think he had anything to do with that. The problem for RFK is the problem for anybody in government, which is that the thing is too big and too slow, and it's designed to be slow, and it's designed to be complicated, and change is supposed to be hard. And that's the way it's all set up. And so we're living it day by day, that the solution has to come from outside of the system. There has to be an innate desire on people's parts to do the right thing for themselves. And I guess they're not facing the consequences of their bad actions by externalizing the costs onto all the other people paying insurance, or people tell you it's okay to be fat, or it's okay to be unhealthy or obese or whatever. So it has to become I guess, is trendy the word? Like, does it has to be trendy to be fit, and to, and there's a whole art component to it too, right? Like, as long as our art isn't championing like beauty and ideals and order and structure and like inspiring people in that direction, or our literature or our films or our music or visual art or creative art, all of it is entropic. Is that a word? Seemingly currently right now, like all of it, wherever you look, is just leading to worse outcomes rather than leading to better outcomes. And again, this is a conversation that you can have across various, like almost every element of society.
Yeah, one of the most insidious things I found, but just by way of example, was there was this God, this is so gross. I can't even like get too into it because I don't want to break some NDA or something. But I worked in pharma marketing, and I worked also in just normal mainstream marketing. And there was a health product. I won't even get into it at all. But the overall point that they wanted to make was that your physical fitness is not actually related to diet and exercise, right? That it was like, because a bunch of really gross healthcare interests, they want to sell you drugs, right? They want to sell you drugs. So the oldest trick in the book is simply paying a bunch of doctors. This was Edward Bernays 101, to say whatever thing that a bunch of corrupt doctors will say. So for a while there, like a couple years ago, there was this big new thing. Suddenly, there were articles popping up on Vogue, and suddenly there were these studies coming out that, oh, little did we know, actually, it's not diet and exercise. It's your cortisol levels. It's your, whatever. What's the thing with your thyroid? It's hypothyroidism. Oh, diet and exercise can't help you. You're just fat. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. And I was like, man, that is true evil. If I could ever say what evil is, that is evil. It's literally telling somebody, don't take care of yourself, take this pill, and the doctor, look, we have science to show you should basically kill yourself,
Right.
And it's like, right, when this incentive structure and when that type of stuff is legal, as long as that type of stuff is legal, it's going to happen. Somebody is going to do it. So,
Well, there's definitely a political playbook that is where you get money together and then you fund all these studies.
yeah.
And then the studies say what you want them to say. And then you find a court case to champion. And then
Yes.
in the court case, they
Yes.
cite the studies that you funded.
Totally.
And then the court case gets decided. And now all of a sudden, the law has been decided upon the studies that are out there that were funded by the people who have this ulterior motive in the first place. And there are definitely some portions of our political space that have really refined that process, and they take the long approach to it, and they spend all the time and money to do all this and to seed all these think tanks and to seed all these studies and then to find the right court case and then to back it and then to have it cited and to have the decision being made, whether it's a regulatory decision or whatever it is, that then codifies the study that was bull to begin with and had the political motivation from the beginning. And so this is a question of incentives, right? And who can you believe and why? And at Rebel, not to bring it back to what we're doing all the time, but we don't sell supplements, we don't sell labs, we get no kickbacks from any pharma companies, we get nothing, no money comes to us from you except your membership. And if you're happy and healthy, you stay and we get paid. And if you're not, you leave and we don't get paid. And that is the only incentive structure. So they're perfectly aligned. And so a level of discernment is necessary, not only in your medical life and your health life, but in all of your media consumption and the people that you listen to and the decisions that you make and the studies that you read and cultural events and icons and movies and whatever. You have to understand the incentive structure and where it came from and why that message is being put into your head, and then like eliciting behaviors. And man, the internet has made it so easy to like creep into people's brains and to motivate them to do things in ways that they're not even sure why is that the case. And it's just discernment is becoming a even more critical component to your daily survival than ever before, and it's only going to continue to get worse.
Yeah, it's a jungle out there. It's really it's a new kind of jungle, and it's like even meaner than the old jungle because everybody's trying to screw you over all the time. Okay, John, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. This was fascinating. Great combo about health. So where can people find this?
Yeah, find us. You can find me on Twitter at Jack Murphy Live on Twitter. You can find me, or you can find our Rebel Health Twitter at Rebel Health _. Also on Instagram at Rebel Health _. Go to the website rebelhealthalliance.io. Check it out. We've got hundreds and hundreds of members all across the country. Nothing but 5-star reviews out there on Trustpilot, and people really love the product, and we're doing good in the universe and doing well. And I live a life of perfect alignment these days, and I feel amazing about it. So come join us, guys.
All right. Thanks, man. Peace.
Thank you, Isaac. Take care.